even if you're born in a family with high risk of diabetes, it's not really pre-written that you will be diabetic. Your lifestyle, you can really mitigate that risk.
In this episode, we'll find out how Indians age differently, the real reason why men die younger, how your lifestyle can switch your genes on or off. Is midlife the start of your downfall?
Midlife, I would say, typically it starts between 35, ends at about 55. Your body's internal capacity to heal is kind of coming down.
What's the best hack to living longer?
Sleep is the free medicine that we have.
Ghee is healthy, ghee is not healthy. Rice is healthy, rice is not healthy. What is the one truth? What I wanted to ask with you is, there's a well-known concept that men die younger. What's the biology or genetics or DNA version of why we die younger?
I think it's the inherent nature how women and men are made. I think men are made for high endurance, high energy activities, and women have highly efficient mitochondria as compared to men. So men might have larger number of mitochondria in their muscle because their energy consumption is higher than women. But while women have a lesser number of mitochondria, they are far more efficient in producing energy. And the major cause, one is the mitochondrial efficiency and another is the telomere length. So now what are telomeres? So telomeres are basically the ends of shoelaces. If you think of a DNA as a shoelace, telomeres are the end, the hard ends of your shoelaces. And in women, these hard ends tend to be longer than in men. And
Which helps them?
Which helps them live longer. And I'll tell you why. Because every time a cell divides, a part of this hard end is lost. And every organism in this entire universe had a certain length of telomeres, and that decides how long they will live. But inherently, going back to the point that men have shorter telomere length, almost 300 base pairs shorter than women. One thing that we have known starkly in men is the isolation. When their testosterone goes to go down, they are socially feel more isolated. As women, we talk a lot. We know we have women buddies. We talk about our emotions, everything that is happening. Aur kya ho raha hai is the usual chat in a women. Men internalize their emotions quite a bit, and that basically changes men's biology internally because they are basically the breadwinners. They have high performance tags on them, and that makes them very socially isolated and triggers even add to the stress they get from their external environment. For men, I say they definitely need to have more male friends and do activities that they keep them alive. Keep your hobby alive in later years of your life. Have that circle of friends that you go and hang out with, because social isolation is one of the key factors that also lead to men dying early.
So, Dr. Mehdi, आपने तो बता दिया कि why women live longer. Mitochondria or I forgot the telomere. तो यार हमारा तो men have no luck here.
Not really. Men have a very consistent biology, and while women live longer, they also suffer longer as well. So men are lucky that they don't have to suffer as long as men.
Sorry to hear that, but what do you mean by suffer?
Basically, what happens is because we are designed for endurance, women suffer a lot of bone health issues, cardiac issues, and autoimmune issues in their midlife. And that's because the hormonal fluctuation that women experience when they're estrogen, when they are getting near to menopause. And this whole phase in women's life, the midlife, the perimenopause, is really, really like stock market. It's falling one day, her hormone levels will be, high one day and dropping one day. And that is really messing up with the immunity, the internal immunity and body's regenerative capacity of a woman. That's causing a sharp decline in the bone density because it's playing up with the calcium deposits in bones as well. It's hormonal health. Estrogen is very protective, and it protects women from a lot of diseases and supports women's immune system for a very long time. But when there is so much fluctuation in estrogen, it kind of aggravates the stress or plays up with the cortisone, and also changes the heart health. The way women's body is metabolizing fats also changes big time. So while women live longer, they definitely suffer much longer as well.
So, what can ladies do, women do, knowing the fact that this is going to be a scenario that they're going to face? Are there any ways to less suffer?
Yeah, so for women especially, they have to look after their hormonal health, especially in this mid-health, monitor, so to say, not look after, but monitor their hormonal health very closely. So I would definitely recommend that if you are getting close to your mid-30s and in your mid-40s, then you should get your hormonal levels checked every 6 months, if not every year. And that's because, you need to know what are the baselines, and everybody's body is individual. What my hormone levels might be compared to a 50-year-old, or my hormone levels can be compared to a 25-year-old. That's very, variable. And I think women has to constantly monitor their hormone levels, keep an idea on what the muscle mass as well. As women, we are not really exposed to heavy liftings. And one drastic change that happens along with estrogen decline is the decline in the muscle mass in females' body. When your muscle mass declines, your insulin resistance also kind of gets disbalanced, so to say. So your sugar level starts to aggravate. And when your sugar level starts to accumulate, your metabolism is trying to slow down, your muscle mass is declining. That is the starting point of a lot of things is pushing that ball further down with a greater speed down that hill. So as a woman, I would say get regular checks, 6 months and yearly, your hormone levels, if you are in that perimenopause period. Also, keep an eye on your muscle, maintain a good muscle mass as compared to the fat mass in your body, and have a good sleeping regime. And that's about it, really.
So yeah, three things: get regular checkup for your hormones, lift weights, sleep well, and let your men go out and hang around with their friends.
Yeah, let them have a social life so that you can have your social life, really.
Let me throw another term that we recently gotten into this fitness devices, and they give you all sort of data that they've introduced a new term in my life, which I metabolic age. Now, what is a metabolic age?
So metabolic age is how you are consuming your energies. Metabolism is basically talking about how efficiently your engine of assimilating and digesting the energy, the glucose that you produce in your body for your bodily functions. And that metabolic age, in essence, is a representation of your sugar levels in your body. To a large extent, but also the consumption of your sugars in your body.
So would it be, in layman's term, would it be a good conclusion that if lower the metabolic age, you can lower the biological age?
Absolutely.
You mentioned that, body has this amazing ability to heal itself. But is there a particular biological age after which this healing becomes difficult, self-healing, or making the changes reversible becomes very difficult?
Absolutely. So officially that phase of life, I wouldn't give it a number, but a phase of life is called as midlife. And I think it's very important that when your body reaches a plateau, and that's different, that midlife can, for
What's
some
the range
people,
of a midlife?
Midlife, I would say, typically starts between 35 and ends at about 55 for most people. For some people, depending upon you're a fast ager or a slow ager, this can be, shift on both the directions. So aging, your decline begins, and I think of it as your body's internal capacity to heal is kind of coming down because you have reached the maturity, the maximum of your organs. You have utilized them to an extent. Think of it as batteries. If we were batteries, we have exhausted the initial burst of energies we had, and now some of it is running on autopilot. For women, their estrogen levels are, coming down drastically. For men, their testosterone levels are slowly coming down, not as drastically as for women, as it is for women, and that plays a huge role in the cellular biology, but also in the physical appearance of the biology. Your skin starts to feel, weaker. Your body starts to feel fatigued. Your brain is fogging. You can't concentrate. The energy bust or the tiredness you're feeling in your system becomes a consistent feature.
At least most of us, even from the outside world, know that stress is not good for you. I didn't feel any different between 40, 41, 42, 43. The moment I hit 44, I genuinely felt a lot of issues coming up with me, right? And then I was reading about it and I said there are two ages, 44 and 60, which is basically the chronological age versus biological age. If you could just dwell a little more for our audiences.
Yeah, so this whole concept of chronological age is crude in many ways because it's basically measuring time without any understanding of how our biology is responding to that time. It's basically a number of years since the time you were born. But if you think of age as a factor, it basically begins from the time you are conceived in your mother's womb. Your aging begins then, your growth begins then, And biological age is much more kind of a sensible option there between chronological and biological age, because biological age is a representation of all the damages that you are accumulating over the time and how your body is responding to it. So a single number, for example, you are 40 years of age, two people who are 40 years of age can look very different, One can look as if he's in 50s, have a big belly, bald head, whereas other looks like as if he's really 25. And that's where the essence of biological age comes into play. Why there is so much difference when two 40-year-olds look so different. And this is how, because it's not just their internal biology or genetics that one had a good genetics and other did, but it's their way how the two 40-year-olds adapted to their environment. How did they keep their bodies? How did they respond to stress? How did their, ate diets, and how well they exercise? All these factors, and how much sleep they are getting. I think one important thing about this whole biological and chronological aging is the rhythm that we maintain through our aging process as well.
See, the average lifespan has gone up in the last 50 years by, let's say, 10 to 12 years. Now with the advancement in science and people hopefully taking good care of themselves and doing this, what do you think an average lifespan, and you mentioned that, humans are capable of living till 120, technically, right? So let's say cut to 21, 25, 100 years down the line, right? A kid who's born in 21, 25, what should he expect to live till, according to you? It's a wild guess.
Wow. I think I have a slightly different opinion on this. While our lifespan has consistently increased from 1950s, our lifespan used to be somewhere around 40s, mid 40s, 50s, to now being on an average on mid 70s and 80s. I think lifespan with the advancement in science has consistently increased to a level I don't think it will go beyond 100, 120. I don't think that's biologically possible at the moment. But what we have to really worry about is not the lifespan. It's actually the health span, how many years we spend in good health. And currently, while our lifespan is nearly about 80, our health span is only about 60. 65, which is like a 15-year gap in our health span, lifespan gap. And the aim of the science and longevity community is to increase that time spent in good health. Health span is what we are worried about, not really the lifespan.
So let's have a little bit of science fiction here, for hypothetically.
Okay.
Right now, our health span is lower. Let's say 50 years down the line, 30 years down the line, we've cracked the stem cell technology. Now someone's heart is failing, he gets a new heart. Someone's liver is failing, he gets a new heart. He increases his health span.
Yeah.
Right. So that technique should be possible, that you are not only crossing the 120 marker, you are actually healthier till 100.
Yeah.
So that is technically, at least at a science fiction level, possible.
Of course, and I think we are already seeing among us people who are in their mid 40s, 50s are much younger than our, a decade ago. Already we are healthier, we are more conscious about our health, we are more conscious about taking care of our bodies, and I think this will consistently increase, and we will get to a time where this health span, lifespan gap will become very minimal. Maybe 2 years before your demise, you will be ill or be in poor health.
So I want to move to a very interesting, I wanted to get your opinion on one very interesting gentleman, Mr. Brian Johnson.
Wow.
Yeah. And his endeavor to biohack / figure out a way to increase his lifespan. What's your opinion on that?
Actually, I find Brian Johnson both fascinating and frustrating at the same time.
That's interesting.
And the reason for finding him fascinating is he's doing these weird experiments on himself, and I want to know what's the outcome of it, because he's setting an example for rest of us. Whether that example is a good or bad, he's definitely doing a solo engineering experiment. When I found it frustrating, when I look at these biohackers, when they generalize their attempts of these solo experiments and think that these can be applied to a larger audience, I think that's absolutely, nonsensical.
Give me an example of that.
Because none of us have like 30 doctors to look at health every day. We don't have a cryo chambers in our basements. We don't have a son who we can do the parabiosis every day. We do not take 100 supplements to live that extra life. And for a second, if we imagine, even if we live to that 120, 200 years, he will be alone, So what is the point of living so long when you don't have that social emotional connect? You don't have the life or the health that you want to live up to.
There's a lot of information, conflicting information, when you try to find about healthy things. Like, for example, ghee is healthy, ghee is not healthy. Rice is healthy, rice is not healthy. Flour is healthy, millets are healthy. Every time I try to go out to figure out what is the one truth, I am super confused. Okay, and I never understand, because there are people who will vouch for ghee, then there are people who say ghee is not at all good for you. Then there says, look, rice is the best thing. We were rice eaters. Wheat was introduced to us by the foreigners. That's why we are gluten intolerant and all that stuff. So how does one navigate this to figure out what's the right
So actually there is
answer?
There are no universal wrongs or rights, and I think ghee is equally good, or chole bhature on a good day can be equally good as compared to a healthy meal or a good salad. So there is I wouldn't say there are really good or bad diets. Is the personal context that comes into picture. So context, personalization, and evidence are the three things you have to keep in mind when looking at anything. For example, for a Punjabi, you tell him to stop eating parathas. He's like, I have eaten parathas all my life, now you are telling me I'm gluten intolerant. What rubbish, So it's not like that. Your body is constantly looking for that context. You might be, eating parathas all your life, but then when you hit midlife and your body has certainly had a lot of these toxins, or because you were gluten intolerant in the first place, this inflammation has, summed up in your body. And now suddenly your body's internal capacity to digest wheat or gluten or metabolize that gluten efficiently has decreased drastically, and you suddenly are showing signs that after eating paratha you have becoming more bloated.
So, Dr. Mehdi, I have a very important question to ask. Now, imagine I'm a pure veg Tam Bram from Chennai.
Okay.
I've lived in my entire life there,
Wow.
and I've got a great job, and I have to move to Oslo, Norway.
Okay.
Okay. What are the pieces of advice you'll give me?
Wow. Yeah. Carry a lot of hot clothes because your body would need a lot of fat there to adjust to the extreme climates there, and you'll get very little light. But more than that, you definitely have to look to monitor your diet, to really adjust your body to these extreme climates. You need to adapt and see what natives there are eating. And if not really, I'm not saying that you go all fish and all meat. Of course, you're a Tamram Brahmin, you can't do that. But elements of that really, so you can include seeds in your diet, you can include a bit more protein in your diet. That body gets that energy to heat up, to adjust to the cold climate there. Also, light exposures are very different in south of India as compared to, Norway. So you would have to expose your body so that your circadian clocks adjust or your sleep cycles are adjusted to this new climate as well. It's a very interesting thing that yogis and travelers used to do when they used to travel long distances, and you would find it in ancient texts that they used to carry a bottle of water, or a sack of water with them. And what they used to do is drink it on the way, but also save little for the space that they would go to, and they would mix it with the water from that original place, so that the microbiome, it's like they are carrying a secret stack of microbiome from their native country and then mixing it to that land, so that their body takes its time to adjust, and takes it like a natural course to adjust to the new planet. And that's what I recommend to a lot of people who come to me who are traveling a lot, that they say, I see a lot of disturbances in my gut. I say always carry a water bottle and eat probiotics so that your gut can adjust, and that will help you adjust to that new climate much easier.
When a body gets to a different protein carb complex, what's the best way to integrate it without causing a lot of issues?
See, whenever you are looking at aloo, if you are thinking that I can have a diet which has just aloo ki sabzi, बहुत सारा चावल और बहुत सारी roti, then all you are consuming is carbs, 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 carbs. So whenever you are having a little bit of aloo, if your diet has some, your plate has some dal, has some greens, have some amount of aloo and little bit of maybe rice, not rotis, maybe little bit of rice. So one source of nutrient at a time, So if you stick to that rule, then you are good. So for example, if there is one source of protein in your diet, one source of carbohydrate in your diet, one source of fat in your diet, and vitamins and minerals can be in form of vegetables or fruits that you consume, then you are generally have a balanced diet. You don't have to stick to too many variations there.
But there are a lot of friends of mine. One is Abhishek, the other is Vinay. These guys, whenever they fall sick, right, they pop antibiotics like as if it's like candy. And I keep telling them it's not good for them,
Yeah.
So, but what's your opinion on that?
I think that's really, really dangerous, because antibiotics is one thing that should be only kept for really acute infections. And when you are popping antibiotics left, right, center, you are decreasing your body's internal capacity to fight infections. So any infections, mild to moderate, body should take 3 to 5 days to really adjust and come to the normal. And most viral infection don't really even need a medication. You should just bear it, and while we feel miserable, we should just let it pass, because our body's immunity is kind of recognizing that foreign object or foreign substance in our body and preparing our immunity for it to happen next time. When you are intervening it with an antibiotic very early on, you are saying to the body that, oh, this infection is not so severe, and you're not preparing your body. And when you actually get an infection, acute infection like a severe pneumonia and stuff, and you are again using a broad spectrum antibiotics, they would not work on you because your body thinks that this is a normal scenario. So it can be really life threatening and dangerous.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mehdi. I had a great time. In
So
fact,
did I.
I've learned so many new things and a lot of food for thought. I think our viewers will also understand and appreciate what has been a very educational and practical conversation, in fact. And a lot of myths were cleared. A lot of things that we knew but we did not know why have been explained. So that really helps. Would love to have you back on the show. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much,
Thank you, guys.
Ashish. It was a pleasure.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.